The waters off Florida's Treasure Coast look calm today, the Atlantic rolling in with lazy blue waves. But what lies just beneath that surface is anything but calm. Down there, hidden under centuries of shifting sand, rests a story of empire, greed, catastrophe, and gold. Real gold. Coins stamped with the mark of Spanish kings, lost in a storm 3 centuries ago and only now coming back into the light. In July 2015, a family of professional divers stunned the world when they surfaced with over 350 Spanish gold coins, some so rare they were literally fit for a king. Their value? More than $1 million. But these weren't just shiny souvenirs. They were fragments of one of history's greatest maritime disasters, the wreck of the 1715 treasure fleet. And the tale of how they ended up on the ocean floor is as dramatic as any legend. Let's rewind. It was July 24th, 1715. 11 Spanish ships, their hulls groaning with treasure, departed Havana, Cuba. They were bound for Spain, carrying gold, silver, emeralds, pearls, and coins mined and minted from the vast riches of the New World. Estimates suggest the cargo's value would equal billions today. To put it in perspective, a single chest of gold could fund an army for months, and this fleet carried dozens. But the Spanish crown made a reckless choice. Instead of staggering the departures to minimize risk, the fleet sailed together during hurricane season. Greed outweighed caution, and by the end of the month, they were in grave danger. On the night of July 31st, 1715, as they sailed along Florida's coast, the hurricane struck. Winds howled like cannon fire, waves as high as buildings smashed into wooden decks, and ship after ship splintered. By dawn, the coastline was littered with wreckage. 11 ships were lost, and somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 men were dead. Only a handful of survivors staggered ashore, some clutching pieces of treasure that waves tossed up like broken toys. The Spanish crown quickly dispatched rescue parties, and salvage operations began almost immediately, using indigenous divers and enslaved laborers. They recovered what they could, but the majority of the fleet's treasure was swallowed by the sea. That stretch of shoreline, once called the Rio de Eyes by early explorers, gained a new name, the Treasure Coast. For centuries afterward, fishermen and beachcombers found proof of the disaster: gold escudos, silver rails, pearls, and artifacts washing ashore after storms. Each coin was a clue, a reminder that billions in riches still slumbered just offshore, beyond reach. Fast forward to modern times, and the allure hasn't faded. In fact, it's grown. Licensed salvage companies, operating under agreements with the state of Florida, began organized expeditions in the 20th century. High-tech sonar replaced instinct. GPS replaced hand-drawn maps. But one thing didn't change: the ocean's ability to hide its secrets. That's what makes the Schmitt family's 2015 discovery so extraordinary. Working under lease with 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels, LLC, the family had spent years combing the seabed. Then, near Vero Beach, their detectors picked up a signal that changed everything. Beneath the sand lay 350 Spanish gold coins escudos, minted between 1692 and 1715, many in mint condition. Among them were 9 royal coins, perfectly round pieces struck by hand for King Philip V of Spain. The royals were never meant for circulation. They were ceremonial coins, treasures in their own right, intended for the highest levels of Spanish society. Each one could be worth up to $300,000 today. And here they were, lying in the muck, waiting for divers to bring them back. Imagine the moment. You're underwater, scanning an endless desert of sand, when suddenly the glint of gold stares back. It isn't a bottle cap or a fishing weight or a false signal. It's a coin perfectly preserved, stamped with a cross and crown shield. Then another and another, until you realize you're kneeling on a fortune that hasn't been seen by human eyes since the night the fleet sank. But the discovery also reignited the centuries-old debate: who owns the treasure? Under Florida law, salvagers must share their finds with the state, which typically claims 20% for museums and historical preservation. The rest is split among the salvage company and the divers. Spain, too, often asserts claims over such treasures, arguing that they remain state property. In fact, Spain has won major legal battles, such as the 2007 case against Odyssey Marine Exploration, where the U.S. courts forced the return of 17 tons of silver coins recovered off Portugal. Yet the Schmitt family's find was different. Because the wreck lay in Florida waters under a licensed salvage agreement, the treasure was legally shared and the coins were documented and preserved. Some went on display in museums, where the public could marvel at the artistry and imagine the storm that claimed them. Others were sold to collectors, ensuring they would vanish again, this time into private vaults instead of the sea. The historical significance, however, goes beyond ownership. Each coin tells a story. Minted in Mexico City, Lima, or Bogotá, these coins reflect the vast machinery of Spain's colonial empire. Indigenous laborers and enslaved Africans mined the gold. Craftsmen in the Americas minted it, and galleons carried it across oceans. Their journey was one of blood, sweat, and empire, ending abruptly in the hurricane of 1715. To hold one of those coins is to hold the weight of that history, an empire as ambition and its tragedy. And the 2015 discovery was not an isolated incident. Over the years, countless smaller finds have been made along the Treasure Coast. In 1985, Mel Fisher, perhaps the most famous treasure hunter in history, recovered nearly $450 million in gold, silver, and artifacts from the wreck of the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de Atocha near the Florida Keys. Fisher's rallying cry, "Today's the day," captured the spirit of persistence that drives divers to spend decades chasing fortunes beneath the waves. But the ocean is far from done with its secrets. If you want more stories of history, mystery, and fortunes hidden beneath the waves, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. The ocean isn't done giving up its secrets, and the next discovery might just change history all over again.